This actually fits in very well with Malcolm Kendricks' theory of clotting. So basically, just to introduce it quickly, so the idea is that heart disease is actually caused by the tendency of the blood to form clots within it, what we call thromboses. And one of the driving factors of these thromboses is actually something called oxidation stress, which is like the tendency of iron to rust. That's oxidation. So if we have chemical instability in some of our tissues, they have this tendency to oxidize, and that damages them. And oxidation is the bad thing. Now, LDL can be oxidized. And guess what? That's circulating around our bloodstream. So if you've got a whole heap of oxidized LDL, that's creating a pro-coagulant tendency. That's increasing the likelihood that you're going to form these little clots or thrombi within your blood. And that is a direct and proximate cause of heart disease. And we know that red blood cells, one of the richest sources of cholesterol in the body, is because the red blood cells, they're this funny shape. They have to be very flexible and malleable. And if they're not, they die. They get filtered out of the blood pretty quickly. So they need a lot of cholesterol. Now, remember, we're talking about these plant sterols before, the phytocholesterol and these kind of things. A bunch of literature that demonstrates that the more red blood cells take on these plant sterols, the shorter their lifespan is. They become more fragile. They basically self-destruct. Number one, that tells us two things. Seed oil's bad. Number two, these fake plant cholesterols can actually get into the red blood cells. And one of my suppositions that I posit in my lecture is that a lot of what we're seeing within the atherosclerotic plaque that we used to think was cholesterol is actually, in actual fact, not cholesterol, but it's actually the fake plant variant. And the reason is when we actually look at it under a microscope and you see these little clefts where we say, oh, that's a cholesterol cleft, you're not actually looking at cholesterol. You're looking at the space where the cholesterol used to be, where it's been dissolved after chemical treatment. And it's very difficult for us to distinguish between actual human cholesterol and the fake plant variety. And number two, for there to be a lot of cholesterol released to be free in the atherosclerotic plaques, it often needs to be released from these cells called macrophages. And we've got very good evidence that these macrophages, they don't want to let go of their cholesterol. They do a damn good job of holding on to it. But they don't like the fake version, and they'll push that out and they'll expel it into their local environment. And further to this, if you remember back when we talked about these people with these disease cytosterolemia, who have these heart attacks in their 30s, when they die and they do biopsies of their big vessels like their aortas, they actually found that they've got plant sterols within their atherosclerotic deposit. So there's an impressive line of evidence now that would suggest that seed oils and plant sterols actually have more of a role in heart disease than we've previously understood. This includes coconut oil. So there's a study published in British Medical Journal where they got people they supplemented them with olive oil, butter, and coconut oil that they used. It was something in the order of 94 or 96% saturated fat. So theoretically speaking, their cholesterol levels should have gone up through the roof. Their cholesterol levels actually dropped. Why is that? One, because saturated fat doesn't increase cholesterol. But two, as a seed oil, as a plant oil, it contains plant sterols, and the plant sterols drive the cholesterol levels down.
DoctorsToTrust.com, world's #1 site for short, annotated nutrition videos designed to share with loved ones.